Hi, everyone. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Skoldiers and Spice here on the Vikings First and SKOL Network. I'm your host, Sally. This is my first show on Vikings First and SKOL that isn't a victory week. So it feels a little off. The vibes are a little bit lower than normal. And we already play again in two sleeps. Like 2 days. Can you believe that? Already 2 days. Like, this is not enough time for me to be able to get over things. But thankfully, my pal Dustin Baker is back tonight to fill us in, give me a little scouting report on the Rams game. And let's check the panic meter. How worried should we be about this Vikings team after this loss? Let's get into it. Hi, Dustin.
Yo.
Long time no chat. How are you? Are you excited? We have tip off for our two favorite teams in an hour.
Yeah.
NBA is back.
Yeah. For clarity, for newcomers to basketball, Dustin, I'm a LeBron fan, a lifelong LeBron fan for 21 years now. So I guess I'm a Lakers fan, LeBron foremost. And hopefully we get to witness history. Maybe Bronny James doesn't deserve to play on a regular season court, but for the legacy purposes, they got to get him in for a little bit.
I know, it's just so crazy. Did you ever think something like that would happen in
No,
the
they
league?
started chirping about it. LeBron did about 5 years ago. And one of my little LeBron stories, every year on this night, I sit down and I'm like, all right, is this the year he's going to fall off a little bit? And I've been thinking that since like 2017, and then it never happens.
Mhm.
So it's kept him motivated to stay good. So now, hopefully, they get his son together with him for a little bit on the court. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's just so crazy. I never thought that I would see something like that from anyone in the league,
Mhm.
let alone LeBron. So how cool. And then, of course, he just has to be playing my Minnesota Timberwolves, so that makes it even more
I
exciting
like
because
the
I'll actually
Timberwolves
watch.
too.
Yeah, of course. Of course you do. Nobody doesn't like the Timberwolves, I don't think, right? But that's what I used to say about Lions fans. I used to say, "There's nobody who doesn't like Lions fans," and
I'm
then all of a
I'm
sudden
I'm pretty sure when LeBron walks away, hopefully we got a couple more seasons that I'm just gonna transition to your guys' side and be a Timberwolves fan.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for
Mhm,
sure you were. It's too fun not to be.
mhm.
But, alright, so like I said, I'm only gonna keep you, like, 20 minutes because you have to be up super early.
Yeah, we leave at 6 a.m. from Sioux Falls Airport to Los Angeles, so we got to be out the house by probably about smaller town airport about 4:30. But I'm excited to talk about this Rams game with you because I probably have unique takes for the Lions game on Sunday compared to some of your viewers. Maybe not all of them, but
Ooh.
some of my impressions I think are a little unique.
Oh, well, let's just get right into it, I guess. So you
Uh,
were there Sunday, I was there Sunday. For
mhm.
me, and I know it's probably hard to remember these things as far as, like, crowd noise goes, but I thought it was one of the loudest that I can remember, and I remember at one point screaming so loud that I thought, "This is probably the loudest I've ever been in my life." It's probably not true because it's hard to think of, like, that I wasn't at least that loud for Packers or for Minneapolis Miracle, for example, but it felt like I gave it all. I couldn't even speak yesterday.
Yeah, it was thunderous. I had another weird story. So the people behind me in section 344, we were standing up the very first play of the game because the Vikings deferred, and a guy tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Do you mind sitting down throughout the game?" And I said, "Yeah. Are you new?" I was like, "We get up on third down at the very minimum, right?" And he just shrugged his shoulders. So he was sitting with a girlfriend or a wife, and I like looked around because I thought maybe I was being punked or something. And then he just shifted down a seat so that he was behind my son, who's shorter.
Oh,
It was very weird because I thought like the audacity for somebody to say at a game like this, like, what are you thinking? So yeah, it was loud.
right.
It was loud. My takeaway, I think what I would consider unique, maybe not, is I've been to every Vikings game at that stadium except for two, when my son was born in 2016, and then the Greg Joseph game winner against the Giants, though the snow was too dangerous to
Oh,
navigate.
right.
This this was my favorite loss at that building, bar none.
Yes.
Yes, because when Saturday afternoon, for example, or Sunday at 9 a.m., when I left the loss to the Lions, I felt the exact same way about the Vikings as I did like 7 hours before.
Mhm.
I enjoyed how they battled back when things got really nasty down 21-10, almost felt like 28-10 because of the near Naylor fumble. But I'm usually hardly ever a writer or a fan that does moral victories or does like the hey, we'll get them next time. I always find something bad. I'm like, well, obviously they're not cut out for this. Or last year they played well against the Chiefs, but then Justin Jefferson got hurt in that game, so driving
Right.
home, it was like son of a bitch. But this game is the happiest I've ever been coming out of US Bank Stadium about a Vikings loss. And I think that says something about this team. Maybe it's because I still view them through a lens of a team I thought was going to go 7-10. So everything feels like gravy to me. But I am just as optimistic about the Vikings right now than I was 1 week ago.
Honestly, I can't disagree with you on that at all. It sucked towards the end when they couldn't convert the first down to run out sometime in the clock to prevent the Lions from getting back the ball. That really sucked, but I felt the same way. They didn't play terribly. They did shoot themselves in the foot quite a bit with some penalties and things like that, which is the first time I can recall this year that we've been in that situation. And I mean, the Lions just played damn good. They
Mm-hmm.
played so good. And I don't really feel any differently about this team. Of course, I wish that they were going into a Thursday night game off of a victory, not a loss. But I keep asking myself the same question too. Like we got back to the tailgate, and I'm like, "You guys, we're 5-1. We're still having fun. It's all good. It's all fine." And I think though it probably does have a lot to do with the lens that you just described. So we didn't go into this thinking, this is Super Bowl or bust. This is the team that's going to do everything, right the course of this cursed ship we've been on all this
Yep,
time.
and I want to reiterate that you and I alike. Usually, after a Vikings loss, we're not like the two. They're like, "Chin up, guys! This team is
No,
great." Like, because there are Twitter accounts
never.
for that, and we're not usually like that. So I hope that folks don't get the impression that this is just a rah show. But
Never.
no,
Mhm.
it feels unique to me that. So I'm selfish in the sense that if they had pulled out the win over the Lions right now, I would feel like kind of a fat cat getting slaughtered on Thursday night football, like a letdown game. So one of my other selfish, unique takes is I'm kind of a prick that I now because they lost to the Lions, they got that out of their system. They only have 4 days to bounce back. I think I'm going to see them in person win, and of course, everybody else who's going or people they're going to watch on television. This isn't one of those games. This will kind of be a litmus test for those 2016 doomsdayers who are like, well, we've seen them do this so many times before. If they come out and lose to the Rams or look like garbage, then they will have a leg to stand on. But I just don't think this team is like that. This team is a lot more balanced than the 2016 team, and the 2003 team really didn't have any defense. So I really do think that this Thursday will be a happier outcome than 2016 when it went to 5-2, and then it went to 5-3, and before you know it,
Yeah.
we couldn't figure out if we were going to win another game.
I totally agree with you. It wasn't that they played like trash, like some of those post bye week games that we mentioned last week and maybe even previously with the Fat Cats getting slaughtered. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
play like that.
Mm-mm.
But I need to address something in the chat here. Norsefius is saying that I should be a female Joker in Batman movie. I don't know if I should be complimented by this or offended because
It's a
Joker has
compliment.
makeup all over his face. I'm like, is my lipstick everywhere?
No,
Now
what
I'm
did the comments say? No, what did the comments say one more time?
you have a wicked smirk. You should become the female Joker in a
Oh
movie.
yeah, no, that's a compliment.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you
Yep.
then. But yeah, hi everybody for tuning in. Hi, Christina. Love you, girl. Christina was at the tailgate. We had a great time. It was not to get on this. I'm just thinking about it, but there was so many people that came to the tailgate for the first time this year. It was so good to see everyone. It ended up being 80 degrees, which was nuts. But even the few Lions fans that came by, they were cool. But yeah, overall good time. Glad to see everybody there. I got a generator now, you guys, and I figured out how to use it. So things are really looking up this year at the Spice
Did
Gate.
did the McCarthys show up?
They did not show up. No, they
Oh, dang
didn't.
it.
I
Okay.
know, didn't find out what happened, but I knew they were flying in that morning, so maybe and just going straight there. But we got flexed. We got flexed. So next
Yeah.
home game, we will be there all day long. So we hope to see
Real,
even more people.
I think there's a decent chance that I'll be at that one. But it was really funny that when I saw that, the news, my first instinct was befuddlement because I thought the Colts, because of fantasy football, Anthony Richardson and stuff, I thought the Colts were like 2-4. And then I went and pulled up their record and they're 4-3. And the worst they can be going into that game is 4-4. So my first instinct was to say, why? I know that we're
I
5-1,
know.
but who wants to see the Colts? But then I realized, hey, they're a winning team.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the Packers and Lions playing that day?
Um,
Maybe I'm wrong, but I saw
they're
some discourse on
probably
Twitter
due for
about
that.
people
Let me
saying
go
that
look.
should have been flexed, and then I didn't do a fact check. I just repeated it. But yeah, I was really surprised that that was the game that they were flexed also. I feel like you would think, I mean, it's probably still too far out, but I'm surprised if they're going to flex anything. Wouldn't
No,
it be Falcons?
that one's already in the 325 window. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I see then. That
NFL's
makes sense.
okay with that one. Yeah, because sometimes the noon games will get ignored in the shuffle. And
Yeah.
I think even despite the Doug Peterson would be revenge game, they just didn't care. They said, let's put the Vikes and the Colts.
Yeah, it was an interesting choice. I was in, like the Falcons Vikes getting flexed on December 8th would make sense just for the
Mhm.
Kirk Cousins storyline and stuff. And maybe we're just too far out from that. Well, I think we are, but all right, let's get
Mhm.
back to Sunday. What another thing, the only thing that I felt like I was disappointed by, and this is my own doing because I probably built it too much up in my head, but I thought Brian Flores with a whole extra week to game plan for Jared Goff in this offense that he was I just saw it going a little bit differently. I know they're an amazing offense, they're a great team, and so they were going to get their points. They were going to convert, of course, but I did think that it would be made a little bit more difficult for them.
Yeah, but I know there are some folks that are like, hey, this whole scheme is exposed now. It's going to be open season. I know there are some smart people that think that. But you're going to every now and then, no matter what, you're going to get your ass kicked. And that's what happened with Brian Flores on 4 straight drives. I mean, Rudy Gobert is like the best defensive player in basketball, and he gets dunked on sometimes. And so with this defense, it was sorrowful to see them have that happen 4 times in a row. But I trust Brian Flores. He has the personnel this year to not have it be a month-long thing. Last year, you might recall, our final taste of the Vikings was all December and then a little bit of January where the defense was just shit. And it was really good in the middle of the season. People forget that. So I think he learned his lesson there. It sucks that Blake Cashman probably won't play this Thursday. I think he's more important than folks think. But the big takeaway here is if you are irked by Brian Flores' performance, his team's performance on Sunday, you're not going to have another offense like that until you play the Lions again in Week 18. We were asked on that show that we did together, that Lions show, how are they going to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra, suspended Jamin Williamson, Sam Laporte? How are you going to stop all those guys? And I told the guy, you won't. And then they
Yeah,
didn't. But
right.
it's a different thing when you start to size up how are you going to stop injured Cooper Kupp and Kyron Williams? Well, you just got to contain 2 guys rather than 6. Or you start to look at
True.
the Jaguars and the Titans, and it's like those teams aren't as formidable. The Lions' time to try and go win this damn thing is right now. And for anybody that is still melancholy about the Vikings' loss on Sunday, I have to ask you this. Did you really think the Vikings were going to go 17-0? Because for you to be surprised by them losing to the Lions, the only excuse is you thought they were going to be undefeated. Now, let's say the Vikings end up going 15-2 or something absolutely fantastic. It's going to make all the sense in the world that they lost to the Lions because the Lions are really damn good right now.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that the lines are great. And I think everybody, it's still, people have it stuck in their head. They want to say, oh, it's the same old Lions. It's the same old thing. And if you look at how they lost the NFC Championship game and misses like that, they just shrug it off, at least in our fan base. And then I think it's also that their fans are being so chirpy that it's like you just don't even want to give them the credit that they deserve
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. But yeah, I mean, they played off the charts. It's like you can't really be mad about it. What about Sam Darnold? How are you feeling about his performance?
I did a show on my own about this, and here's my take. I'll do it in a nutshell. I did a 12-minute show on my Sam Darnold take the other day. Right now, he has regressed to the 10th best
Mhm.
quarterback in football per EPA CPOE, which is an efficiency analytic metric that shows how many wins you're adding to your football team. So he played really damn good for the 3 games. He's come back to earth for these 3 games. He's just like the rest of the team. He's going to end up playing an easier schedule in the next 5-6 weeks. So I never thought during those first 3 games that we had an elite quarterback who was just misunderstood Joe Burrow. I never felt that way. I thought the guy looks great. I know he has the arm, but we're probably going to see his warts before too long. They're not as pronounced as Josh Dobbs' warts were last year, but we are seeing that this guy isn't going to be the best thing ever just because he put on a Vikings uniform. I'm still very confident in him. The defenses that he's going to see until the Bears game are very easy to navigate, or at least easier than the damn Jet secondary and then these Lions who do everything well. So, I mean, if JJ McCarthy was healthy, yes, I would be very curious about how he would look right now. But because we don't have that option, I'm still confident in Darnold. I don't believe any shit about a Sam or a Matthew Stafford trade. And this coaching staff loves Sam Darnold, and you have to view him through a lens of not elite play. You don't expect him to be elite. He never has been. He never will be. When I watch him, like from my formative years, I think of Kerry Collins or Carson Palmer or Joe Flacco. I think of those guys, Jay Cutler, when I'm thinking of Sam Darnold. I don't think like, God, he looked like so good those first 3 games. Hopefully it keeps up. I never perceive him that way. I know he's going to have some stinkers. I know he's going to look great sometimes. That's why he's good and not great.
Absolutely. See, I can't ever disagree with you anymore these days. What's happening? Remember in the past, I used to always be able to disagree with you.
Kirk was our wedge issue. Kirk was our wedge issue.
Kirk was one of them. Kirk was the big one for sure.
We were single issue voters when it came to Kirk.
Yes, we were. So, okay, let's move on. You brought up the Stafford thing. I don't even want to give it any airtime because I think it's just ridiculous how people can just make things out of thin air. I think everyone knows that that's not actually happening. But yeah, we're already playing again on Thursday. I think what's the injury update? Aaron Jones should be in.
Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Aaron Jones is going to be okay. I think he's going to play through whatever degree percentage of health he has. It looks like Blake Cashman's out. I think we're supposed to believe it's a coin flip for Hawkinson, but because it's been slow rolled, it leads me to believe that this team is ultra cautious and they'll probably wait until week 9. That's just my personal theory. I don't have intel on that. But it seems like there would be a little bit more build up for Hawkinson if he was going to play this Thursday. We know how really conservative they are with injury recoveries. They might just give him the extra 10 days. And then I don't think I'm forgetting any major ones. Yeah, I think it's Hawkinson, Jones, and Cashman. No Cashman, Aaron Jones, yes, and then wait and see on Hawk.
Perfect. Okay. So I've been paying attention to 0 Rams football this entire season. And as I was saying before we started, everybody who knows me knows that like if there's a Vikings home game, I'm going to be a day behind the rest of that following week because Monday is just a complete loss for me. I think I was in the tailgate lot until, I don't know, I know it was dark. I was the last one there, which was a big deal for me because it's the first time this year I've been the last one. And then, so then Monday, it's just like, there's nothing happening on Monday. There's no brain activity going on. So I don't know what's been going on with the Rams. Give us a little scouting report on them.
Sure. So they're not good. They're not. They have been before, very recently. But the only reason, there's 2 reasons why Vikings fans should be worried at all about this game. The first one is this a trend that, hey, we hit the bye week 5-0 again, then we lose, and we just do this shit every 5 or 6 years? That's the only paranoia that you can hold, and you'll get a verdict on Thursday. The other one is somewhat more serious than that. This is Sean McVay against Kevin O'Connell. So if you buy into that storyline, maybe the teacher and the mentee doesn't go so well. Other than that, those are the only things where the Vikings should be suspect, because by the numbers, the Rams aren't good. They rank 22nd in offense EPA per play and 26th in defense EPA per play. Cooper Kupp should be back. I don't know if he'll, be the ultimate savior for them. I've said to you, Sally, on how many shows in these past 4 years, whenever the Vikings play Matthew Stafford, I do not go, oh my God, it's Stafford. I've never felt that way playing against Stafford. I enjoy watching him play, like in that Super Bowl run and those playoff games. I think he's cool. But never once in, God, what he come in the league 2009, have I ever sat down for a Vikings game and been like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Stafford's playing. Never felt that way. So maybe that means he throws for 4 touchdowns or something this week. But the offense isn't good. The defense is even worse. I think the Vikings are flatly a better team. And for now, my usual reservations about son of a bitch, the Vikings are on prime time on the road. Hopefully they'll find a way to be competitive. I don't feel that way about this game or really anymore about the Vikings under Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I love Matt Stafford. I'm higher on him than you are, but he throws picks. He reminds me very much of a Brett Favre-ish type of guy. He's gonna go out there and make some boneheaded plays as well, and this defense is gonna eat him up. So I'm not worried about him. I wouldn't even be worried about him against this team, like you were saying, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, because he is how he is. But somebody didn't want to talk about this, and I don't want to talk about it much. But some people in the chat want an explanation as to why this team would get an overpaid Matt Stafford when they just got rid of an overpaid quarterback. And in my opinion, there's absolutely no way in any world that this would ever happen. It's not an upgrade at the position, and it just doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. I don't see why that would ever happen.
I can give the Stafford speech if you do want to give it some pulse.
Oh, whatever. We started
it. So the only reason this one would make sense, Stafford in purple within the next 2 weeks by election day, that's the trade deadline, is if Sam Darnold got hurt Thursday or the following Sunday. If he got hurt and your team is 6-1 or 7-1, then you could possibly explore with the Rams, how do we get him? You guys rented him for 4 seasons. Let us have him now. But the reason it doesn't make sense is twofold. The Vikings, unless the coaching staff has blunt force lied to us about Sam Darnold, they love him. And spoiler alert, Stafford is not playing well this year. He looks like a quarterback that hit the age of 37 who isn't very good anymore. Now, in a playoff run, I would trust Stafford more than I would trust Darnold because he's already done it. But he's just not as mobile as Darnold is. And I don't see them whatsoever being proactive right now with no injuries, saying, hey, can we get Stafford? And it's mainly because the Rams would have to swallow $68 million in dead cap if they traded Stafford. And it seems like they can get out from underneath that, get off the hook if he retires after this season. Or if they know the writing's on the wall, they can draft their replacement this April. But without an injury to Sam Bradford, I don't see this as realistic at all. And the only reason I think it's out in the stratosphere is because Mike Florio brought it up about a week and a half ago.
Oh, he did? I just saw the news, the chatter about it today. And I was like, this is ridiculous.
Florio created it. And then there was some account with like 50,000 followers that said his sources said that it's realistic. That's where the new legs came from.
Right. Yeah. They were talking about that on an earlier show. And I was going to say, and in the chat, well, you can buy followers. There are people out there who do that. That doesn't mean you know anything.
Nobody do we know.
Yeah, I mean, not that, I don't know anyone. I've heard that people do that, but okay. Well, you're going to LA. You've never been there before, right? For a game anyway.
I've been to California a few times now in the last couple of years because our good friend Wes Johnson lives in San Francisco. But I've never been to Los Angeles, and that same dude, Wes Johnson, and his son and father, they're meeting us there.
Oh yeah, Big Ken's going to be there?
Yeah, Ken is. Yeah, my man. Right. I bet you he might be watching this. Hey, Ken, what up?
Hey, Ken. Make sure we get Ken a Budweiser. I hope they have it there. hope it's at Anheuser-Busch Stadium for Ken. Okay, so what are we looking for this Thursday night? I know your confidence is going to be a win. What are we looking for the Vikings to improve?
Okay, they cleaned up. Thank God Jalen Naylor's foot was out of bounds because they mostly cleaned up the turnover problem. They only had the one, which was Darnold's bonehead interception. Folks, you should just realize he's going to have one dipshit play per game. Kind of like Case Keenum, and the Vikings got away with it a lot in 2017. Darnold's going to have one play per game where you're like, oh, God. And that's why he has been tossed around from the Jets to the Panthers, the 49ers to the Vikings. So just prepare for it. It's going to happen. They cleaned up the turnover malady pretty nicely outside of that one throw. We all think the defense can bounce back and have a get-right game. Tip of the cap 100 times over to Will Reichard, who keeps being this unsung hero. We joked for a few years, Sally, about how long would it take for us to trust a Vikings kicker with our entire emotions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm nervous to say it, but I'm pretty much there. And I know the moment that I announce it, I'm going to get effed. But I really do. I was so thrilled to hear that Kevin O'Connell contemplated trotting that man out from 68 yards. And he would have if it wasn't for that penalty at the end of the game. So even if Will Reichard misses a kick on Thursday Night Football or the following Sunday, he's earned a miss. That's how good he's been. So the kicker being just marvelous, turnovers slowing down a little bit in a good way. And I think Justin Jefferson's due for a badass breakout game where we're talking like 180 yards before too long.
What would you have done if you were KOC for that last play? Would you have went for the kick even after the penalty?
Well, I say yes now, but I was also the guy in the second preseason game when Matt Corral came in. I was like, let the guy throw the ball, and then he looked like a complete moron. Yeah, so I make dipshit decisions like that. Right. If I knew that he had a prayer, like if I went up to him, looked him right in the eyes, and say, "Will, have you ever hit a 73-yarder?" and he's like, "I think I can do it," of course I would let him try it. What we saw was the vintage Kirk Cousins Hail Mary where we just get sacked within a second and a half. So I don't know, unless his max range is 64 and 73, you need the wind. But I'm pretty sure if he could hit from 68, why not try him from 73? You know?
Well, it feels like, I mean, both situations are pretty improbable anyway. I think him making it is probably more likely than that play getting into the end zone.
Yeah,
that was even before the penalty.
Once I realized that they weren't going to kick it, because once I saw where the ball was spotted before the penalty, I was like, Reichard's going to get a chance for the NFL record. Holy shit. And then quickly that was panned because there was a penalty. I wanted to see Sam Darnold's arm. Yeah, I wanted to see if Sam Darnold, like if he could effortlessly get it down to the end zone, and then neither ended up getting a real look.
Right. Yeah. We didn't get to find out about, you remember the Christian Ponder Hail Mary?
Yeah.
I will never not think of that stops like 5 yards short of the goal line. Like, or maybe it was more. I can never not think about it. Just gave it its all, and it just doesn't even get close. It was like we could have either had that or the kick. We got neither one. We got a sack.
I don't know if you saw it in the playoffs last year. Jalen Hurts had one that was horrible. Like, I don't know if he didn't get his arm into it, but it was just it was pathetic. It reminded me of the Ponder one you're referencing.
Yeah, it was Ponder-esque, but okay, guys, we'll see. Let me see if we have any questions for Dustin really quick in the chat, and then we're going to let him out of here because he's going to go report live from Los Angeles. Where are you sitting at, by the way?
Section 213. Wes splurged he picked out the tickets, and so usually when somebody not named me picks out the tickets, they go spend top dollar, and then I'm on the hook for a huge fee, and that's exactly what happened here.
Oh, great. Yeah, that would be me. I'm always like, oh, you guys, well, no, actually it wouldn't be. I'm always addicted to getting the best deals, and then when a better deal becomes available, I like get so upset about it. I'm like, everybody's probably mad at me, but okay, well, we will call it a night. Thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in. The Vikings, as we know, do play Thursday, but both Dave and I are going to do at least one quarter on the TED Report. So I think I'm doing the first quarter. I don't know which one Dave's doing, but then we'll be back here on Vikings First and SKOL for the Thursday night postgame show. And then I'm going to have an episode on Sunday that's going to be pre-recorded. It's going to be the tour of all of the new foods that are at US Bank Stadium this year and where you can find them and the reviews and such like that. So thank you so much for tuning in, Vikings First and SKOL. And Dustin, have a great time. Bring us back a win, please.
I shall. 41-21 Vikings. That's my prediction.
Oh my God, 41? Okay. I'll go 35-24.
All right, that's more along the line with what others are picking. So you're keeping us honest here. Yep.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Go Timberwolves.
Like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and rate us on your favorite aggregator. And a big shout out goes to Sal and her guests on this Vikings First and SKOL production, partnered with the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, and SKOL.